hope you're all well. I am here today because I thought it was about time I show how I make props for cosplay. This video will focus on props from Voltron Legendary Defender and some of their Bayards and Keith's swords. It won't necessarily be a tutorial, but rather showing what I do, and this will be the first time I'm actually making them, but it will show you the process. Depending how these turn out, I might do an actual proper tutorial. Until then, feel free to follow me as I attempt to make these Bayards. First of all, the thing that I use to make the majority of my props is foam. I have this yoga mat foam, so it comes in these, there's 4 squares in each thing. Now, this stuff is reasonably cheap and you can find them in the majority of cheap stores. I love making cosplay, especially props, but I don't like to spend too much money if I can help it, and although foam can take a little bit longer to work with when it comes to perhaps using Warbler or something else, but it's cheaper and it's what I use. Now when you open the foam, one side will be smooth and the other side will have bumps all over it. What I do is I usually do 2 layers of this to make whatever prop, and then more if I want it thicker, and then if I want for all the extra details I just use the really thin EVA foam. I've got here a bunch of patterns. So the first one is the Bayard pattern, which I found online, and then I have Keith's small dagger, which I hand drew, the long sword, and then also Keith's Bayard into the sword. And the very first thing I do is trace them onto the foam and then cut them out using a Stanley knife. Okay, so now everything has been drawn out onto the foam mats. I've used about 2.5, which isn't too bad, got a bit left over. The next bit is actually cutting it all out with a Stanley knife. So after I actually cut it out, I tend to do it quite roughly, because what I'll do is I'll go back in with a Dremel and actually sand the sides off so it's nice and smooth, and then glue the bits together and then actually shape it to look like what the blades are meant to look like. Now the problem is that if you don't have a Dremel, this bit is going to be a little bit trickier because it will take a lot longer to get the right shape. So if you are a big prop master and you love it all, I would recommend buying one. I know they can be a little bit expensive depending on where you go and like how good the one you get is, but I would say that's probably an investment that is definitely worth it. If you don't have one, you can hand sand it. However, because the foam texture is a bit odd, it doesn't always work that greatly. Or you can try and cut it, even a knife, a really sharp knife can kind of angle it the right way. Yeah, like I said, it's definitely much cheaper than some products, but it will take a lot more effort to actually do it. So I'm gonna cut it all out now. So as you can see with just the first one I've cut out, it does have the generic shape, however the sides are quite rough, sort of have to be dremeled quite a lot, and I've kind of roughly cut out where the extra details are, just because it's easier for me to just Dremel it rather than actually try and Stanley knife it out. But yeah, there's the first one, now to cut out a million more. Cut out everything, so now I just have piles of foam, and the next thing to do will just be to hot glue everything together. Now, hot glue and foam, obviously a bit of a match made in heaven, they work quite well. However, I would use something a little bit stronger, but because I actually plan to paper mache everything, which kind of sticks it together anyway, I'm not going to be too fussed about it. I just want the two sides together so I can start dremeling the shape out of it. So just while I'm waiting for my hot glue gun to warm up, this is the really thin EVA foam that I use to do all of the details on weaponry. What I'll usually do is Dremel the shape that I want from the prop, paper mache it, and then I'll add on this stuff so it's nice and smooth and you can clearly see the details that I put on it, and then priming and painting. I also thought I'd show you, so this is, oh, it's not going to fit in the frame very well, but this is Aloy's bow from Horizon Zero Dawn, and it is completely made out of foam except for the little accessories and these little hose bits. So what I did for this one was, I think I used 2 layers of foam for the base of it all over, and then I just added, there's a little bit of damage on it, ignore that, and then I just added all of the thick accessory bits, and then for the thinner bits I used the thin EVA foam. And then yeah, it's just a lot of priming and painting afterwards because that's what gives it the effect, and yeah, ta-da! Okay, so I have finished hot gluing everything, which is good. And that's all I'm going to be doing for today because I'm exhausted, but thought I'd just quickly show you what they have turned out like. So the little bayards, so once they're together now you can see how rough I've actually cut them, but once again dremeling that will first of all smooth out the edges so it will look more rounded, and then just get the correct shape and then ready to put on the thin EVA details. Then we've got Keith's props because I have no chill. First of all, his dagger, his blade of Malmora when it's in its blade. Now this is a really good way to show that when I hold it like this, it flops. What I'll be doing is actually adding paper mache all around it, which first of all enforces it and keeps it together, but also will make it stronger, so when I hold it, it won't flop. It is a little bit more fragile with paper mache though because it can snap rather than flopping, but I've never had any con dramas or issues luckily, so I just do that because it's not like I'm actually hitting anybody with them. And then also, oh god, it's very big, Keith's activated blade. Okay, so that is it for today, and I will see you next vlog when I actually start to Dremel these babies. Until next time, take care, bye!